All right, after much ballyhooing and aching and a little bit of tech magic, look, the camera's back for one of us.
Yay!
Finally, just 13 minutes late, 13 being the lucky number, of course. Hello, Internet. How are you? My name's Evan Jones. I'm the community manager for Pursuitery.com, and I'm working out my cheat sheet here because I'm so excited to welcome back the team from Seattle Retro Gaming Expo. Hello, Kinsey. Hello, Nathan. How are you?
Doing good.
Hi.
Thanks for stopping in. Be sure to join us online at Pursuitery.com for a full listing of Geek Out's challenges and more. We'd be very happy to have you, as we always are. Tech problems or no, should really stop pining about it, but I think we overcame quite a hurdle in the past few minutes, and I'm proud of all of our visitors, as I'm proud of all of our viewers. So, if you have any questions today, please feel free to tweet them to us at Pursuitery on the magic of Twitter. And with that said, we are back into the jam with the Seattle Retro Gaming Expo. How are you guys doing? It's been a while.
It's been a little while. We had our expo, and it went great. So.
Yeah, we've had about a month to recover, and I think I'm just about fully recovered from it.
Just about?
Just about, maybe another month. Oh, PAX. Darn.
Yep.
Yeah, we actually have people from the Pursuitery team heading up to PAX, and they, I think you might have met one of our team members that wanted me to pass along his condolences for not being able to make it out this evening. I, however, will not miss a Geek Out if my life depends on it, because it sort of does. And but he promised to run up to you at PAX and give you a secret handshake and whatnot. So, yeah, we got a lot to cover. I mean, first off, I think we should start with what Seattle Retro is. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to start into my bevy of questions here. I got some coming in from Twitter already, so people are really fast. So let's go ahead and feel free to introduce yourselves, and we can talk about the expo and how this year was and how next year was and everything about it.
Go ahead, Nate.
Nate, you're first.
Okay.
You've been elected.
All right, I'll start off. My name is Nathan Martin. I'm one of the co-founders of the Seattle Retro Gaming Expo and one of its showrunners. We started the show in 2011, and it's purely just a passion project. It's not something that we do for profit. We just do it because we love the community, and we wanted to have something here in our backyard that catered to what I really cared about, which was classic video games. And over the years, we've grown. Our team has grown from just a handful of guys to I think we've got something like 17 core staff members and a few dozen different volunteers that work year-round to make the show happen. And one of the things that I've really gotten a lot out of from the show is getting to meet some wonderful people like Kinsey, our PR and social media director.
That's me. That's what I do. I do all of our PR, social media. Both me and Nate are on our podcast. Mm-hmm. So definitely hitting the social media hard every day. We don't want anyone to forget about Seattle Retro.
Where can we find your podcast?
The podcast is on iTunes. You can find it. It's called the Seattle Retro Gaming Podcast. And we've actually got a lot of good podcasts up from the last year. Our first podcast was right after last year's show in July of 2013, and we started it off as a way to kind of disseminate the panels that we recorded. We had some really great guests last year. We had John Hancock and Ryan Payton from Metal Gear Solid and his new game Republic, and so we got a lot of those panels out through the podcast, and over time it's just kind of grown into just a more general interest podcast where we talk about what games we've been playing and what's going on in the community around Seattle. And so yeah, if you go to iTunes, you can find it at Seattle Retro Gaming Podcast, and I think it's on our website as well, seattleretro.org.
It's interesting because I saw the listing for it, and it's not just retro stuff. How dare you!
There's so many good games coming out all the time, though. I mean, we can't play retro all the time.
No, it's...
Yeah. And really, where does something like Shovel Knight fit in? That game is amazing, and it looks awesome, and it's retro. So you got to talk about stuff like that, even if it's not technically retro. It's still a lot of fun.
Oh no, it's I think there's room. I think there's a lot of room for it all, and Shovel Knight's actually on the list of stuff to discuss today. That and some of these new new old Activision games. I think that's an interesting development. So just so everybody's familiar with the format is joining us out there, I want to note that we're going to go through some of these general questions I have listed out here first, and I have a few Twitter submission questions. If you do have questions, again, please feel free to tweet them to us at Pursuitery. You can see how that's spelled by looking at the magic of my lower third here. And yeah, we're just going to go ahead and go from there and just work until we don't want to work anymore, which is part of the beauty of this. And we will have audience questions. I know a few of us have joined us on the Geek Out Today live. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Towards the end of it. And if anybody has any burning questions that they just want to jump in or anything they need to mention, and you don't want to get up into the land of crosstalk, feel free to just click on the upper left and throw them in the group chat there, and I will note them, and I promise I'll get to them. I swear it. So, yeah, so last time we spoke was a few months ago. It seems like a few lifetimes ago because so much has happened, but let's talk about the 2014 convention. How'd it go? What was the scoop?
Well, I'll let Kinsey talk about Saturday. I had some issues on Saturday, so I wasn't there for the whole day, but that's definitely the big one.
Yeah, I mean, it all ran actually pretty smooth, very few fires, which is great for a convention. So, I mean, I don't know, it was a month ago. It's like I don't remember it. I think I was just running around like a crazy person the whole time. I was kind of the, I guess, unofficial MC. I don't think I talked enough on the microphone to be considered the MC, but...
Yeah, so every year we add we try to add some new component to the show, and this year we had a stage that was out in the kind of common area for podcasts and tournaments and other things to happen, and that was really cool. But we also, we had Carlos, a good friend of the show. He was helping to MC it and kind of help out Kinsey with that. But we also used it for our Chiptunes concert, Arcade Armageddon, which was on Saturday night, and so that was our first year actually having the concert on the show floor as opposed to doing it at an outside venue, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it went so well because they had their it was kind of like, well, for people who don't know, Arcade Armageddon is a combined chiptune show with a kind of wizard on stage style tournament, and throughout the day people got to play a game to win a spot to compete on stage at the concert that evening. So it just went so well, and yeah.
Yeah, we also had our charity auction. So this year we brought the silent auction into SRGE, and it was all to benefit the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, which is a very passionate nonprofit for our Director of Operations, Sean Hill. And the charity auction concluded that day, right? We had
Yep.
two. We had one that concluded on Saturday and one that concluded on Sunday. So those are both new for the show this year. In addition to just the larger venue, we're in a new space, probably our new home, the Washington State Convention Center, and so we tried to take as much advantage of that extra space as we could, and we really packed them in.
Yep.
It's not too shabby as far as a convention dig.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's not where else do you go? Once you get the Washington State Convention Center, that's pretty much where you're going to live until you become PAX.
Yep.
Next up, Superdome. I've been to Seattle twice, and I could use all the references to the 3 places I've been. So already this Geek Out's been a raring success. All right. So we talked last time about how things had gone down. You were scurrying all over the place to get everything done, and you mentioned how you didn't have a lot of fires. What did you learn from the convention this year? Because we had mentioned a lot about how to run a con and how to run events, but what was the takeaway lesson? Deep in thought, both of you.
That's a good question. Because this year was one of the first years that ran really well, or really smoothly, I should say. There wasn't a lot in terms of new lessons. For me, it was more about understanding what we did that went well, like why it went well. So I'll give you one example. I mentioned earlier that Kinsey really was kind of the person running around on Saturday, and that's because I wasn't able to make it due to kind kind of an emergency that happened earlier that day. I wasn't able to be there at the beginning. And normally, in previous years, if I hadn't been there at the very beginning of the show when people were just starting to line up, it could have been a real problem. But because we had such a great team this year and we had people that really understood their roles and were prepared and we had learned all these lessons from previous years, they were able to step up and handle the registration and let things run smoothly, even though I wasn't able to be there right at the beginning. At least that was my assessment, Kinsey. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest fires was, oh no, Nate has the change. Like, people buying tickets.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sean was running around to different ATMs and trying to find like grocery stores that would give him change and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean that ended up great, and we got change before the doors opened, so worked out.
Yeah, one thing that we did last year, Kinsey and I were both on a panel for how to run your event. And I mean, I don't think that there was a lot of detailed information given away at that event. It was more like convention horror stories panel. But I feel like I feel pretty comfortable now that if somebody were to come to me and say like, how do you run a convention? What needs to happen in order for the first year to go well? I feel like I could do that, and that's a nice feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I felt. Yeah, that panel did kind of turn into convention horror stories. And the one that we're referencing, I'm pretty sure, is the one that happened at Emerald City Comic Con.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And I think if we were on that same panel now, it would be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think Seattle Retro is going so well now because there wasn't that many fires. And that's crazy because I remember last year there was fires. So, I mean, we've come so far in so little time. And it's amazing to be a part of it. Yep.
I was moving some windows and I just realized, oh, I don't want to hit the wrong window because I'll destroy the Geek Out. I just didn't want to go 2 for 2 on funny tech stuff. So this was this year number 3?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah. So we our first year was in 2011. That year I think we had something like 250 people. And then 2012, we had 450 people. 2013, which was last year, I think we cracked 800 attendees. And this year, I don't know if we've ever actually shared this number publicly yet, but I believe we hit around 1,500 people this year.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've had at least 50%, if not double our growth every year.
Word's getting out.
So, eventual world domination.
That's the plan.
We're like a virus.
But a good one.
A really awesome virus, yeah.
Okay, so down to brass tacks, which game had the biggest line?
Oh,
I know you had a host of systems this year. Which game had the biggest line?
You know, there's always people waiting to play the Steel Battalion games.
Yep. And the Mario Kart, I think, was pretty popular as well this year, because this is the first year that we had system-linked GameCube so people could play Double Dash.
Mm-hmm.
Was Smash Brothers in effect? Is that happening? Is that counts as retro now, right?
It sure does.
we have the Nintendo 64 Smash Brothers. That and GoldenEye are huge hits. We have a ton of Nintendo 64s, and those are always filled up with people playing Smash Brothers and GoldenEye.
GoldenEye was an amazing game, and the thing is about it, people recognized that back then, and then like 3 or 4 years later, I remember playing it when I was in school after it came out, and we were like, this is an amazing game. And then 3 or 4 years later, when we were finishing school, we were like, this game still holds up. But if you talk to somebody about GoldenEye the movie, they're just like,
yeah.
Wasn't that a game? Like,
yeah,
didn't they make a game out of that, or didn't they make a movie out of that game?
Yeah.
You really just go, oh, that game was real, but...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, GoldenEye came out right when I started going to college, and whenever doors were open and people were in there yelling, you knew they were playing GoldenEye. That or Bomberman. That was the other one.
See, that was Halo for me going to college. Halo 1.
Really?
That's what everyone was playing in the dorms when I went to school.
I think that was the last game that I played as a LAN, like where people actually brought over, systems and linked them all together.
Yep.
That was the last LAN game that I played was Halo.
I miss those days. Oh, LAN parties. They've gone by the wayside.
we've talked about, it's not official, obviously, and hence I'm going to go ahead and put it on the live broadcast here. But we've talked about the idea of doing Pursuitery LAN parties, and doing like doing small Pursuitery LAN party events. But then it's one of those things where somebody has to run the Pursuitery LAN party.
That'd be kind of awesome, though. You'd have like one TV with like open broadcasting software running, and then just switching between all the different TVs and stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I also, well, it's also that we're part of the Connected Learning Alliance, and we do a lot of like academic events and whatnot. But I just kind of want to show up to an academic event and be like, all right, so who wants to talk about the power of gaming and play Strider?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a true academic environment if you don't have people in their dorm rooms playing Halo.
That's true.
Several people that worked as games researchers. We've got several people who actually did work do research on games and whatnot. And it's always fun because I'm sitting there like, so tell me about this, because I don't know how you go about it. It's as magical to me as it is to you. So.
One thing on that tip, I recently discovered SM64. Are you guys familiar with this?
No, share.
So SM64 is basically a group of people that have more or less dedicated their lives to finding every single possible secret in Super Mario 64, which I am 100% in support of. I think that's amazing because Super Mario 64 is one of the most amazing games out there. I love it. It's still great. It's still fun to play. But just last week, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, somebody had discovered through looking at the code that there was a coin that somehow had gotten embedded inside of a wall in one of the levels. And everybody's like, there's no way you're going to be able to get it because it's inside a wall and you can't get there. And he had finally figured out that through all these different tricks of jumping through walls and breaking the boundaries and manipulating Mario in a real way, like in a way that anybody could do on their system, they were able to finally collect that coin. So that was a coin that took 20 years, almost 19 years to collect.
That's crazy.
So it's cool to me that people are still discovering new secrets in old games, games that are decades old.
That's way better than the old one they had in Grand Theft Auto. I think it was in Vice City, where it said you're not supposed to be here. Yeah. There's just that one wall. It's like they just said it, but wow, that's
It's cool, yeah. And there was the secret in Halo. Do you remember which Halo it was, Kinsey? Where
which secret?
It was so this guy found out that I think maybe it was Halo 3. If you press a certain button combination during the loading screen, only on December 25th, then it would give you like a happy birthday message.
Yeah.
And the guy had made a reference to the fact that secret hadn't been discovered, just a few months or something after the game actually launched, but nobody found it until, just like a month ago.
Well, wait, but it had to be on December 25th?
Yeah, so this was on, you can set the clock, he set the calendar and found it.
Wow, that's Is there like a game hacks panel?
There should be.
No, I think that's totally great. That'd be something. Yeah. That'd be something great to see. Like, here's all the Easter eggs, so to speak.
Yeah, I would love to see like that, and speed runs are also like tool-assisted speed runs are just fascinating to me to watch. If I'm working on something, how sometimes you have the TV on in the background, I'll put on a tool-assisted speed run of Final Fantasy 1 and just let that run in the background, because it's amazing to me how much time people can devote to just getting through a level as fast as they can.
Well, I mean, speaking of having something on in the background that you're not super watching, have you guys watched the Fish Plays Pokemon?
Oh, God.
Oh, my God,
yes.
That's amazing. That's like the perfect background TV.
Did you see? Is it Fish Plays Pokemon? What do you?
Yeah, it's a beta in a goldfish tank, and if he swims into a certain corner of the tank, then Ash will go left or right, or it'll press B or A.
It's still going. I mean, I think it was a couple days ago, like, the fish, at first it took him, like, 2 days to get out of the first house, because it has to swim into, like, the different corners, of the screen to use different buttons, and there's also a section of the screen that randomizes the buttons, so then the buttons move around, and it took him like 2 days to get out of the house, and then a couple days ago, he got in his first real Pokemon battle.
Oh god, that battle must have lasted for hours.
It took forever just to get to the fight button.
That reminds me of the guy that is doing the Minecraft journey.
Oh
Did you
god.
hear about that?
No.
Yeah, it started in mid-July. I wonder if it's still going on. Because Minecraft is like, it's not an endless world, but it's way bigger than the world. Like it's larger than Earth. And so what this guy did is he created a program that procedurally generates a Minecraft track, and he's just in a cart just going in this world, and I guess at the rate he's going, it will take 17 days to travel from one end of Minecraft to the other.
Oh.
So that might still be going on. I should look into that. I was gonna follow up on that.
We started in the interim since we saw you last. We started all of our summer programs, and as an addition to it, we started a Minecraft camp Minecraft.
Oh.
I came up with the title. You're welcome. Actually, it was a good name. I like it. But we started the Camp Minecraft, and it was one of those things where, I go about my daily business, and we had a server set up, and I was just saying like, oh yeah, I'll get on and play, in a day or two, and a day or two turns into 3 or 4 days, and so I finally got on to start crafting it, and by then everything was massive, massive. If you go to bbs.pursuitery.com, you can see some of the Minecraft challenge submissions that we had. And people were designing games and mini games and just stuff within the game, and we were just sitting there going to myself, like, I was intimidated off of my own servers by what people had built. And they would write in with questions, and I was like, let me go find somebody that's an absolute genius who can answer this, because... And that happened with our game programming stuff, too. Like, I'd get a question, it's like, yeah, how do I fix this? And I'm looking at it like,
Oh.
How do you start it?
Yeah.
That's my problem. Because I dabbled in game coding too, and you always are trying to do something, and you'll run into a problem where it's like you're like, you don't even know how you got there anymore, and you're following these little spaghetti trails backwards and trying to figure out where this came from and why is this code doing this one thing. And I can't imagine being an instructor who is trying to follow somebody else's code. You know what I mean? It's so hard to do.
Well, the best was, like anything, the people take it and run with it. So there are games that I'll show you some of the links later on. If anybody's interested in watching, you can see them on pursuitery.tumblr.com. Plug. But some of them were so insane that I just turned around and I actually sent it to the people at MIT that run Scratch, the visual coding program, so I'd be like, look at this. Can you believe this? Look at this. Because there's things where like there's health counters and special attacks, and that's insane. So it was just such a great thing to see, and like people just take the ball and run with it and go wild. But back to my massive list of questions here, if you will. So, dealer's room this year. I was wondering if you got a chance to jaunt about the dealer's room and see what was available.
There was a lot of stuff. Granted, I didn't get to shop as much as I wanted to because I was running around like a crazy person. But I did some shopping, and it was great. A lot of the vendors were just selling games, which was wonderful. So just like old games, there was a booth that was selling like old like Commodore 64, like really old stuff. And that always just warms my heart because I don't usually see a ton of the super old. So that was awesome. We actually also had a really big artist alley this year as well, and so tons of retro gaming art, and I don't know, I just think this year came together so well. So many games to buy.
Yeah, for me, the thing that I enjoy about the vendor hall is seeing the guys that have been doing the collecting thing for years and years. One of the first conventions I ever went to was CGE, the Classic Gaming Expo. That's kind of the nationwide one, and I think the first year I went was in 2001.
That's coming up too.
It is, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. But even back then, you know, a lot of the same people that are coming to our shows now. Chris Kohler, he's the editor for the Game Life blog at Wired. He has a booth at our show every year, and he sells and buys stuff. And you know, what his main reason for coming up here isn't to like report on the scene or anything. It's because he's looking for games, and he'll get there early and barter with all the other vendors. And it's nice to see that people that have been doing it for this long can still come to a show like this and find something new and unique that they haven't seen before, or something that they've been looking for that they haven't been able to find for 5 or 10 years. So I really like that aspect of it. And then it's amazing some of the products that you'll see here too. One of the guys who's another longtime attendee of these conventions has 400 or 500 brand new boxed, sealed Atari 2600 and Atari 7800 games.
No.
Yep.
And he sells them for like $5. I'm like, I've never seen this before. I don't know where I would ever find this again. But if you want a brand new Atari 2600 game, you can get one at our show for $5 from one of our vendors.
And those aren't. I was going to ask you about retro boxing or reboxing.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't.
I don't think so.
No, those are not. He bought those. He knows the whole story behind them. The guy he bought them from found them in a warehouse. You know, it was part of one of those warehouse liquidation things, and so he bought all of them from this guy, and he's just been slowly selling them over the last, you know, I don't know, 5 or 10 years since he got them. So those are totally legit. But I have to say, this whole reboxing thing, I don't like it. No, no, sir, I do not like it. It's just becoming harder and harder to confirm that the rare game that you're buying is legitimate, or that it wasn't a repro. You know, we're getting into some dangerous territory in terms of collecting.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who make labels for like super rare NES games and things like that. That way, if your label's all like, you know, scratched off and terrible, then you could just put a new one on. And I feel like that's not. No.
Yeah, and thankfully the community is very tightly knit. A lot of the people know each other, and they know the good sellers from the bad sellers, and the new random people that nobody's ever heard from before. One of the examples I can think of is about 2 or 3 months ago on Nintendo Age, there was a person who was looking specifically for a bunch of reproduction stickers, labels for, I think it was Flintstones.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
And so somebody created reproduction stickers for him, and then about 2 weeks later, that same guy said, "I'm selling, you know, the Flintstones NES game, brand new." And like, of course, people put 2 and 2 together, and we're like, well, clearly you made reproductions, and you're trying to pass them off as the real thing, and you're a horrible person.
Yeah, I think that was like the Dino Peak one, right? Like the rarest of the Flintstone games.
That's the big rare one. So yeah, I mean, it's totally easy to get ripped off now through reproductions and these boxes that are being reprinted and remade, and that's unfortunate. But like I said, because it's a tight-knit community, people do kind of tend to catch those sorts of activities. But
So for the phenomenon in a nutshell, because we got some viewers here and whatnot, people tuning in, just in case you noticed it, was that people were basically taking games and then putting them in a box and saying, "Oh, look, it's been sealed," and selling them, or was it people just wanted to say like, "Oh, I just had made my own box"?
Well, in this particular case, it was somebody who had a sticker reprinted, and then they flashed the cartridge. They put new chips in there to make it look and act like the game, and they would put that in a new cartridge and put the sticker on it, and then try to sell it as if it was the original cartridge. But the box thing is something that I have only recently seen, where people are recreating the boxes. I haven't seen anybody try to sell a box as if it was brand new yet, but I don't see it not happening in the near future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I know like the rise of repros is kind of, it's been like a big deal the last couple years, like, but I've noticed a lot, at least my friends who make repros, they almost have like an unwritten code of ethics. Like, the only games that they'll make labels for are games that never came out in America, so there's never going to be like a NES-shaped label for them. You know, if you see a NES-shaped label for like a game that never came out in America, it's obviously not real.
Yeah, there's a lot of awesome reasons to have a reproduction done. I have a copy of Final Fantasy II for the NES, something that never came out in the US that was fan translated. I have an actual physical cartridge that will plug into an NES and I can play it. I also have Earthbound Zero, the NES version of Mother, which was another fan translation. And we do some other cool things too. What is it that that you guys do for Super Bowl, Kinsey?
Oh, we make it so like the roster is this like an updated roster basically for Tecmo Super Bowl on the NES, and it's amazing because like this last year we did all like the Seahawks, all current, and I had a Super Bowl Saturday party where we kind of tried to call the Super Bowl using our Tecmo Super Bowl cart that's all updated, and it was super fun, and we made like labels for both teams, and we it was great. It was a good time. But I mean, that kind of stuff, like that Tecmo Super Bowl and the NES never came out with Russell Wilson on the label. So, like, that kind of thing, I think, it's just so much fun.
It's fun to do, yeah.
Yeah.
They even didn't, when Mega Man 9 came out, didn't they have, like, a reproduction cartridge?
Yeah, they did. Not a ton of them, but they did.
Oh.
Speaking of the Tecmo thing, I was talking with a friend last night, and I don't know if you're familiar with the comedy duo of Key and Peele, but they have a thing where they've got the East-West All-Star Game, and they just have people with their made-up names, and the names get more and more ridiculous. And so now we actually, through Pursuitery, know some people who play professional sports, and so I'm lobbying to get them to try and change their names to some of the people in that skit.
Nice.
The only reason I'm mentioning this is because one of them is a gamer, so it's close enough for me to tie it in a tangential fashion. And speaking of going to great lengths and cheesy transitions, who made the longest jaunt to the Seattle Retro Gaming Expo this year, as far as travelers go?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's something that we didn't really look at too closely this year, but in the past we have had people come in from San Francisco and I think Houston. We had somebody come in from Texas. I know that we've had people express interest from Australia, but I've never followed up with anybody to say, like, hey, did you come from Australia?
I know we had a guy come down from Alaska just because he saw Seattle Retro mentioned on the Metal Jesus Rocks YouTube channel.
Oh, just so you know, in the comments, Mr. Henry noted that somebody came to SRGE from South America.
Nice.
Wow.
And I know I'm going to mispronounce your name. Please forgive me. Nagari? I'm sorry. I just said it, and I just saw a head shake like.
No.
Rio.
It's Narai. Rio works too.
Okay.
They're
Hi, Nara.
both great. They're both great. And as I sit here and stare at my shoes for the rest of the geek out, had noted somebody came in from England.
Yeah.
So I
They
think
had family in Spokane, so.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, I would love to. SRGE, it's in the name. It's kind of a local convention. It's Seattle Retro Gaming Expo. It's very cool to have people come out and check it out from other areas. But we do focus on kind of the local game stores and the local scene here. Having said that, I would love to go to England and go to like the London Retro Gaming Expo. I think that would be amazing. So it's really cool to me that other people are willing to do that too. It kind of makes me feel like I'm not alone in my stupid weird convention.
I mean, it's pretty much because we're like amazing, right?
it's time to add a world map.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It would be great, actually. You give a little world map, put it up there, and just have everybody stick a pin in where they came from. And
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm full of good ideas. and coffee.
Well, coffee's the best. So, we're from Seattle. We gotta love coffee.
Like coffee. Sorry.
So,
Wait, you said you don't like coffee?
No, it's gross. It's all bitter and dumb. Like, I don't know. I'll just drink a soda or something in the morning if I have to. Okay. I will drink a grande triple shot caramel macchiato.
Boo.
That's the only
Just drink it. Just drink it how it comes. Just drink it how it comes.
I know that I know it by name because I went to Starbucks and I got like 4 hours of sleep. I had to go to work, and then so I was like, walked up to Starbucks. I'm like, I don't know anything about coffee. Give me the strongest, sweetest thing you have.
And so they didn't give you coffee.
They taught me the name of that coffee phonetically. So they're like, it's grande triple shot caramel macchiato.
That sounds awful. But whatever. Hey, whatever. It's okay. Whatever floats your boat. It's still coffee. There's still coffee somewhere in there.
It's more like whatever keeps my boat afloat at 6 in the morning. And a triple shot grande caramel macchiato does that for me.
I just like coffee.
Alrighty.
Drip coffee.
Yuck.
But whatever, to each their own. I'm not judging.
Grown-ups drink coffee.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, next year's Seattle Retro Gaming Expo, sponsored by Seattle's Best.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Starbucks owns Seattle's Best now, right?
I don't know. I just think it'd be funny. I just think it'd be funny if like you're thinking about potential sponsors and coffee people come on and you've got to sit there and just stare at the cup like, okay.
Yeah, we should get sponsored. We barely get any sleep during the con anyways, so we might as well get paid for it.
So what? I'm still trying to work through my questions list here. I don't want to keep you too long. What have you been up to post con? Because it's been a month, and there you go.
Well, I've got something I want to talk about, but Kinsey, do you have anything that you want to talk about first?
Not really. I mean, Seattle Retro's awesome, but Nate's thing is so good. So I'm pretty excited about it. Like as soon as you said that, all I could think about was your thing. So.
What I've been doing. Okay, so I'll give you kind of the rundown here. I am working on a new project. It is a magazine. It's a print magazine called Video Games Northwest. And what Video Games Northwest is a full-on print magazine, just like you would think of like EGM or Retro. The difference is that it's going to be free. It's going to be bi-monthly, so it'll be coming out every other month. And it is specifically dedicated to game stores, both video game stores and board game stores, arcades, barcades, and indie devs that are located in and around the Pacific Northwest.
Oh.
So yeah, sorry. But that's kind of my passion project, and it's really grown out of what I care about and what I love about Seattle Retro Gaming Expo, which is that concept of building a community and finding creating a place for people who with a shared passion to kind of congregate and get around. So the way that I think about it is the internet is really awesome because it lets you find your tribe. You know, it lets you find the people that you care about and that care about the same things that you do. So even if you are like a brony, like, you know, before the internet, bronies couldn't have existed because they wouldn't have been able to find each other. You know what I mean? Like, you might love My Little Pony, but you wouldn't be able to find anybody else in your immediate neighborhood that could. But now, thanks to the power of the internet, these people can find each other and be a part of that tribe. So the internet is really good at taking a global community and letting people find each other. What the internet really sucks at is letting you know what's going on in your own backyard. So it's really hard to find out that there's a chiptune band playing at the bar down the street from you. It's really hard to find out that there's a fighting game tournament going on at the video game store near your house. It's hard to find out that there's a video game store near your house. Like, if you don't drive by it, or if somebody you know doesn't go to it and tell you about it, it's hard for you to find out. And chances are you're not going to learn about it on Reddit or Kotaku, because Kotaku isn't going to talk about, you know, the game store up in Lakewood or Shoreline or whatever. So I think that Video Games Northwest is going to fill that niche by creating a free magazine that's distributed to all the retail stores in the area, all the game stores, all the arcades and barcades. People who know about John John's are going to learn about Another Castle's new arcade area. You know, people that go to 8-Bit Arcade are going to find out that Super Smash Games just opened up a new store in Ballard. And because of that, I think that people are going to learn more about what's going on in their neighborhood and what's going on around them. And that's really what I want. You know, I want to see a magazine that tells me about all the cool things that are happening around me. So I'm going to try and make it happen.
Is there a link for that or anything you want to share? That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so right now, Video Games Northwest hasn't happened yet. This is actually the first time I've talked about it publicly. So if anybody's interested, they can go to videogamesnorthwest.com. And right now, all it is a sign-up sheet, so you can put in your name and email address, and that'll put you on our ambassador list. And the ambassadors for Video Games Northwest will receive a few emails once the magazine, once the project goes live, and they'll have an opportunity to help support the magazine and make it happen. So Video Games Northwest is actually going to start off as a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter is going to launch in about a week to a week and a half's time. And if we meet our goal, then it will begin with Season 1, which is going to be 3 issues. And then if we hit our stretch goal, it'll be 6 issues, which will be a full year's worth. So if you go to videogamesnorthwest.com and sign up, then you can learn more about it and be a part of the team that makes it happen. So I've been sitting on this for quite a while. I've been talking about it with my close friends. So Kinsey's known about it. She's one of the collaborators on it. She's going to be helping me with the campaign and the PR. And then once the magazine launches, hopefully, Kinsey, you'll be around to help with content and all that fun stuff that we do at SRGE. We'll be doing for Video Games Northwest as well.
Yep, it's going to be awesome.
So the upshot is you are going to learn to love coffee whether you like it or not.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing for the last month. That's what I'll be doing for the next few months. It's perfect timing for me because this is kind of our SRGE downtime.
You have PAX coming up, though, right?
We do. Yeah. I know, Kinsey, I don't know if you want to talk about it, about what you're doing at PAX, but this year I've dedicated my time to just getting the word out for Video Games Northwest.
Well, at PAX this year, I'm doing something a little bit different. No panels, no after parties, none of that this year. I actually got a freelance PR job for a video game company just for PAX.
Ooh,
so
nice.
I'll be hanging out at the Deep Silver booth all weekend. So that's where I'll be. Come say hi, because I don't know if I'll get many breaks.
Yeah, in case anybody's wondering, what's the best way to describe PAX? Just like the biggest user-facing video game convention? Is that a good way, or?
Oh, it's huge. And lines. Also describe PAX in lines. But no, it's amazing. I just love walking into the vendor hall, and it's so, like, bumping. Like, there's people everywhere, there's video games everywhere, and it's just fantastic. It's kind of like what, like, I don't know, kind of like E3, I guess, in a way, but for the public.
Yeah. PAX is very, it's customer-facing, I guess you would call it. It's something that's for the public. But what makes PAX great is that you get, like, everybody kind of is on the same page. They're all just trying to have fun. Nobody's trying to put themselves on top. It's more about just being a part of the community and finding people that enjoy the same things that you do.
Yeah. It's going to be great this year. I'm excited.
Are you guys still throwing local events as well? Because remember we talked about that last time.
Yeah, definitely. We still do our monthly video game trivia over on the east side of Seattle, over in Kirkland. So we're still doing that. And we'll always do kind of our random video game events throughout the year, as always. We don't have any quite on the horizon right now. I think a lot of the time is going to Video Games Northwest, which is great. But we're definitely still going to do the trivia and more events coming soon.
Yeah, the question block is a monthly thing. We just finished up our second season. We're beginning our third season, so it runs on a yearly basis. We're trying to come up with new and exciting trivia rounds and ways for people to participate and engage. But I'd love to do more like concerts this year, and I'd love to do more meetups and events, so maybe we can make that happen in the fall and winter.
There's a link in the sidebar you may be interested in. So before we move into questions that people might have, I just had one last big one. What have you been playing of late? Here's where we get into Shovel Knight.
Kinsey, you want to go first? You've been playing way more games than I have lately.
Yeah, I have. I did play a couple hours of Shovel Knight, and it's wonderful. It's like kind of retro goodness that I just love that kind of thing. I started playing Dead Island, which is just something I had never picked up, and due to my current things at PAX, I figured, oh, maybe I should play this game. So, and of course, The Wolf Among Us, I finished the season out, and it was absolutely fantastic. Hotline Miami 2 comes very soon, as I see in the comments. And Hotline Miami 1 was phenomenal. I loved it.
And horrifying.
Yeah, and horrifying. I guess I should say horrifying as well, yes. I mean, there's just so many games, and especially coming out soon. Like, Destiny is next month. Dragon Age Inquisition is November. Shadows of Mordor, Alien Isolation is October. Like, there's so much stuff coming out, like, that I don't have time for the new stuff or the retro stuff. But I'm going to play as much as I can.
Yeah, you mentioned the Destiny beta, or Destiny, and I had enjoyed the heck out of the beta. I think the beta was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that game. It's going to be my first MMO, I think, that I get into. If quote unquote MMO. I don't know how MMOE it's going to be, but I'm looking forward to finding out. I have been playing Shovel Knight. I know everybody's talking about it, so I won't say too much more that you haven't heard everywhere else. But it's an amazing game, and I love playing it on the 3DS. The other game that I've been playing is this actually goes back to the Seattle Retro Gaming podcast. Back in January, we made a New Year's resolution. Kinsey, myself, and I think Rob was the other guy, right, on the podcast. Yeah. So my New Year's resolution for this year was to play through the Mass Effect trilogy, and I'm trying to get through it. I'm like, how far would you say I am into the first Mass Effect, Kinsey?
Is this your first time at the Citadel?
It's my first time at the Citadel. Yeah.
Not very far.
So I've got a ways to go. And Kinsey, you were giving me a hard time because you're already done with your 2/3 of the way through your resolution.
Yeah, well, the thing with these resolutions is they were given to us, basically, in a way. So mine was, I had to play through the Uncharted series just because I had never cared about playing it. It just wasn't up my alley. But I'm through both Uncharted 1, and I think last weekend I finally beat Uncharted 2, so I only have one more.
Yeah, so I love the Uncharted games. I think they're a ton of fun. I really enjoyed the storyline and the gameplay, so I think I kind of forced that onto you. And I know, Kinsey, you're a huge Mass Effect fan.
Yep.
You've got your awesome N7 leggings.
Yeah.
But Mass Effect, Mass Effect 1 is longer than all 3 Uncharted's combined, so you got to give me a little slack here.
Well, I mean, if you just run straight through the story, it's not that much longer, but it's way more enjoyable. So.
We'll see about that.
Your resolutions seem like they're foisted upon you. You go to Albatross.
Well, I mean, I do think that these are iconic games. Like, if you want to call yourself a gamer, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, is create kind of like a curriculum of games that you should play. Like, if you're a movie critic, everybody expects that you've seen Citizen Kane and Godfather 2 and, just like some of those classic movies, Jaws. But there's no, curriculum of games that you have to have played in order to, really consider yourself like a aficionado of games. But I think there should be, and if there was such a thing, then I think that the Uncharted series and the Mass Effect series would both be on that list.
Well, and I think that everyone has their, almost embarrassing, I've never played this series thing, I mean, I've never played a Half-Life game. So, I mean, I think everybody has that, Yeah,
it's fun to go through that stuff, and especially the older stuff, because it's fun to see how well it holds up.
Yeah.
I think Rob's thing was Knights of the Old Republic, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
which is crazy that someone has never played that game, because it's fantastic.
The online game?
Coder, yeah. The original, the BioWare one.
Yeah.
We have a somebody who played a voice in one of those coming on fairly soon. And by the way, if anybody's wondering, if you heard a bunch of hiss and noise, it's because I have my air conditioning on because I live in Los Angeles.
Oh man, it doesn't matter these days. It cracked 90 up here, and then it rained. So in addition to the heat, we also had a lovely bout of humidity.
Ugh. Yeah.
And because it's Seattle, nobody has air conditioning. Like we don't need it 90% of the time.
I don't get that. I still don't like. It's not like you don't have 2 months of the year where it's really hot. You only really need air conditioning in Southern California for 2 months.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems like a waste.
Why you gotta make it so difficult?
I have one window and one fan, and several ice packs. So.
Well, you both may have heard, and some of the viewers at home, I can't wait to hear the playback of this, and it's just all like, even though my mic is way over here. I had both a fan and an air conditioning going.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I turned off my fan right before the podcast, but it's one of those huge, just not a box fan, but it's like a massive Vornado fan. It feels so good.
Let's hope I wasn't the odd man out in blowing the sound quality after I got this brand new mic that I like so much.
Oh, it's so red.
Is that a blue?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Snowball.
We were discussing its relative merit. So we're almost an hour in. Well, we're 9 minutes short. So let me get into some of the audience submitted questions. And again, if anybody on the actual Geek has questions, feel free to jump into the chat and we'll get them as well. First off, cooler logo, Mega Drive or Super Famicom?
Super Famicom.
I don't know, that Mega Drive logo.
It's cool, but
pretty awesome.
I like the colors.
The Super Famicom, it's just 4 circles. It's circle, 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 circle. But the Mega Drive has got this metal chrome look to it. It's so neat.
I think my heart just lies with the Super Famicom though. It's like the Sailor Moon RPG, the beginning of the SMT series. There's so much there. It's already I see that logo and I'm like, no, I love it. I can't help but love it more.
Maybe I'm alone on this, but I feel like I like the two-tone purple colors better than the Super Famicom colors. Am I alone on that?
Yeah, they did the primary color thing before Google did because Super Famicom knows what's up.
I don't know. I like the purple. I like the light purple, dark purple. I think that was a good move. And then they ruined it with the GameCube.
To be fair, I do want both a Super Famicom and a Mega Drive shirt. So when I get that paycheck, it's going over to Redbubble.
Yeah.
You could be Super Famicom in the front, Mega Drive in the back.
What?
Yes. and Kenzie, don't get me started. Don't get me started on Sailor Moon. Well, with the
reboot.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
with Crystal out and everything else. And actually, it turns out that a friend who I am trying to get on here as a guest on Pursuitery.com as well. Turns out she's the new voice of Sailor Moon, and I didn't know that.
What?
And I'm so happy for her, but it's also such one of those things where now it's well, I'm gonna look at you differently.
Yeah, like a movie star.
That's kind of awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah, then somebody else I'd met because I'm kind of I hide and click all day long. Somebody else I knew I liked very much is got the Sailor Mercury gig, voice wise. So
wow.
There you go. It's small. It's small. That is we talked about a bit. Is pseudo retro gaming a part of SRGE?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I think so. We don't. I mean, it kind of depends on what you consider pseudo retro gaming. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Is that like new game like Shovel Knight and Retro City Rampage and Retro Game Crunch and all those new games that are retro style, right?
I believe that's what they meant. Yes.
Okay. Then yeah, definitely. I mean, their heart's in the right place.
Yeah. In that case, I'm 100% on board. I will take I love indie games these days. I play more indie games than regular games, and it's partially because a lot of them have retro sensibilities to them. So I'm definitely down with that.
Okay. 2 more questions from the audience. Dun-dun-dun-dun. Okay. How much Metal Slug is too much?
Well, I really like Metal Slug, but I like playing Metal Slug on the Neo Geo NVS arcade system. That's how I like playing Metal Slug. So I didn't play a lot of the console versions, and I don't know. I like them all on the Neo Geo. They're fun. What do you think, Nate? I feel like the market's not getting oversaturated with Metal Slug, personally.
No. Well, okay. So to me, Metal Slug is sort of like the platformer version of a bullet hell shooter. I feel like there's a lot going on there, and I'm just not. I can't, like, I'm terrible at Ikaruga. I just can't do it.
Oh, shmups!
It's
They're
stressful.
so good.
I like old shmups. I like R-Type. I think there's enough bullets flying around. That's like bullet heck. I'm okay with that.
R-Type's a good one. By the way, that was a trick question. The answer is there's never too much, which is in all caps. But we also learned that Nate is not a Toho Project fan.
Yep. Okay. I know. No, I'm getting. Now I'm going to get grief from the coffee people and the Metal Slug people. This is not good for me.
Okay, so I'm reading a question off Twitter here. This is this came in from Carlos. My question is, what do y'all feel about cross-platform games? Came up today. Do people actually want it? As in, maybe iOS to PC to Android to console.
Cross-platform meaning you can play with people cross-platform, or they just come out on all platforms?
True cross-platform, depending on graphics. So I think it means, playing with people across.
I mean, depending on the game, I mean, if it's playing with people across platforms, I think, like, the more people you can play with and the more people available on the server would be better. I mean, I don't play a ton of online games, but, I mean, games coming on multiple platforms I think is great, because then multiple people can experience it and you don't have to go out and spend, like, another $400 for a PS4 when you bought an Xbox One.
So there was a game a while back where they kind of made a big deal out of cross-platform between PC and console gaming, and it was a shooter. I don't remember which shooter it was. Kinsey, do you know? Was it Halo?
Oh, it was Shadowrun.
Shadowrun, yeah. And to me, that doesn't make sense, like, because there's so much assist going on with controller-based gaming, and I feel like the PC gamers have a real advantage, and that doesn't seem like very much fun to me for something like Shadowrun. But I think that there's an opportunity that nobody's really taken advantage of yet, which is this idea of asynchronous gaming that when Nintendo is trying to pioneer with the Wii U, where you've got one person doing one thing and you've got 3 or 4 other people doing something different, but they're both interacting. I think cross-platform gaming would be awesome for that. If you had somebody on the PC that was doing what is it, a Quad X game, like explore, exploit, like a Age of Empires style resource management game, and then you've got like people doing a first-person shooter, and the way that the battles go out in the first-person shooter determine whether or not player 1 or player 2 gets those resources. That kind of asynchronous cross-platform gaming could be really awesome, but it's a very technically complex and difficult challenge that I don't think maybe the current consoles are ready for, but I don't know if it's going to happen yet. But that's something that I would love to see for cross-platform. Right. The other thing is the other type of cross-platform gaming where you've got like a game coming out on your PlayStation 3 and also available for your Vita. I think that's awesome. I love being able to play a game and then take it with me and resume my game on a different console.
The cross-save, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think Super Motherload is kind of like that.
All right. Okay, so before we close out, do we have any questions from anybody that's on the Geek Out? Anything burning up?
I have a question. Is the Blue's Clues guy actually like hanging out with us?
I like to think so.
Oh, please.
Is it Blue or is it the guy? Who is that?
It's Mr. Henry?
Mr. Henry, okay.
He's not cute anymore. He looks washed up in real life. Yeah, he's bad. It's not good.
I would think that running a kids show is not, where do you go from there?
He burnt out. It's okay. I did some research. He was cute, whatever.
Blue was too much for him.
I wonder if Blue's Clues was an intentional reaction against Clifford.
Probably.
Well,
maybe. Clifford was around for a really long time before Blue's Clues, though.
True. Well, that said, any plugs before we close out? You got a plug, so you got a lot going on.
I mean, like I said again, Video Games Northwest that's what I'm working on now. That's a huge deal for me. I would love to see it succeed. I feel like I have a pretty modest goal. I've gone through and figured out all the operating costs. So the actual Kickstarter is going to have a modest goal, but I've got this thing planned out all the way up to 6 months and full-blown coverage. There will be a website as well, so if the magazine succeeds, then there's going to be the website as well. And if anybody wants to help out, or if they want to keep up with what's going on with the Kickstarter and when the magazine launches, go to videogamesnorthwest.com now, and you can sign up, and I'll start sending out emails.
Yep, and definitely, of course, Seattle Retro, so seattleretro.org, or on Twitter at Seattle Retro, or facebook.com/Seattle Retro.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Video Games Northwest Twitter. Thanks for reminding me, Kinsey. It's at VideoGamesNW. So you can follow me there, and that will also be another way you can keep in touch with what's going on. And of course, Question Block Video Game Trivia Night. It's the last Tuesday of every month at the Wild Rover in Kirkland, Washington. So if you're interested, this year it'll be the Tuesday before PAX.
All right, well, happy PAXing. All right. Again, thanks to everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you both so much for joining us, and all the guests who made it to the Geek Out. Thank you so very much. It was an awesome time, Nathan, Kinsey. Again, my name's Evan Jones from Pursuitery.com. We do appreciate your stopping by. Please visit the website for a list of more Geek Outs to come. I hope to see you all back here. I hope that you guys have a great time with your events, and that Video Games Northwest goes very well for you. I'm definitely rooting for you. And, yeah, please come by and hang out again. Thanks again.
Right. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast now. Everybody start waving as I try to hit the stop button in time.